It is 6:30 p.m., January 13, 2025. I'd like to call to order this special meeting of the Old Saybrook Police Commission. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America,
which stands one nation under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Let's begin with comments from the public. First, in our live audience, do you have any comments? Yes, please. Please, I think we're intimate enough. You can identify yourself.
Okay, my name is Linda Mahal. I'm a full favorite thread. I wrote something up real quick, so
Sure.
I have 3 minutes.
We have 3 minutes.
Okay. The people of Old Saybrook and the members of the Old Saybrook Police Department deserve and and in the case of the people, have generously paid to receive the highest level of personal integrity and professionalism from the Office of the Chief of Police.
I'm sorry, let me interrupt you.
Sorry, Larry, it's also very, very muted. Like I can sort of like hear that there's a person talking, but I don't actually hear what they're saying.
Okay, if you might come forward, but let me remind you of something.
Yeah.
This is a budget meeting tonight, so comments are directed to the budget. Okay.
I understand.
Why don't you come a little closer to the microphone here?
It's right here.
Yes.
So may I begin again?
So is this
Sure.
about the budget?
It does have, but based on what I saw of your meeting the other day, yes, it does have a monetary. Receive the highest, so the people of Old Saybrook and the members of the Old Saybrook Police Department deserve and have, in the case of the people, generously paid to receive the highest level of personal integrity and professionalism from the Office of the Chief of Police, to include his good faith participation in a formal annual evaluation as stipulated in his contract as one essential piece of evidence that the employee is meeting that high standard. Persistent non-cooperation with the Police Commission is a negative example to set for the department. Selective disregard for professional standards by either the chief or the commission, or both, may have a negative effect on the morale, recruitment, and retention of qualified officers. If the intent of the contract were for the chief of police to be evaluated by informal chats and Q&A at monthly commission meetings, as has been asserted, such chats as evaluation would have been precisely stipulated as such, and/or no annual evaluation clause would have been included in the contract, or said clause would have been unnecessary. For a public trust employee to claim ignorance of the common everyday intent of the contract's evaluation clause and to deny the evaluation's clear link to the potential for annual pay increases is absurd. Spurious, distracting arguments that obstruct the fulfillment of a clearly delineated contractual obligation are unprofessional behavior from a public trust employee. Reasonable people would no doubt agree that the contract requires an evaluation and permits the police commission to grant or deny a pay raise that is linked to the evaluation. The chief of police is not a member of a bargaining unit and is therefore not entitled to an automatic annual pay raise. The annual evaluation and potential pay raise is not subject to any precedent or lack thereof. The police commission for many years under both Republican and Democratic majorities has given the chief of police every opportunity to participate in a good faith industry standard annual evaluation, including collaborating on the content and structure. And I would just like to say, please don't vote for a pay raise.
Can you state your name again, please? When you did, it was over here.
Linda Mahal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else in the live audience? Would anyone online wishing to comment, please raise your virtual hand.
No virtual hands raised.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to item 3, discussion and possible action on the Marine Patrol budget. Chief, do you want to make any brief statement? This is pretty much the same as in prior years, except for
The 3% general wage increase for all non-union personnel for the town again.
does anyone have any questions? Any commissioners?
Oops. About the Marine Patrol again.
Yeah, about the Marine Patrol.
I just do have a question. How concerned are you about the motors? Because that was brought up in the presentation, so I'm just kind of
Okay,
curious.
I'm gonna defer to Sergeant Walsh. He decided to
Oh.
come here. He's working the shift and he is in charge of our Marine Patrol and he can speak on that more eloquently than I.
Thank you.
Sergeant Walsh, could you come close to the microphone? Not that you don't project fine.
Wasn't really prepared for this, but the motors have about 2,200 hours on them.
Right.
We're starting to see, higher repair bills because they are getting older and breaking down a little bit more. Useful life is somewhere between 2,000 to 2,500, where they then recommend getting replaced.
Okay.
They'll run much longer, obviously, but you're gonna have downtimes. We do have two motors, but you can't run it with just one on normal
Right.
patrol.
Okay,
So it's definitely something that is coming due in the near future.
okay, thank you. I
And
appreciate
my,
that.
just so you know, my recommendation for motor replacement will be that it comes from the capital non-recurring account. And the reason being is that will not impact the taxpayer. So that won't become part of the mill increase to support the budget. Those are funds that are set aside specifically for non-reoccurring capital
Right, for
expenses.
one-time
Yeah, for a one-time
purchase.
One
system.
time
And
event.
I think that would be the smartest and best way to handle that. I mean, Leanne is on. I asked her to attend tonight for.
And I would assume consistent with our prior practice,
Yeah, well, we've never
Never
put motors
replaced.
on this new boat, correct?
we've replaced motors and cars.
But never through the capital non-recurring.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. That was my understanding.
Leanne, do you have any concern about this approach of replacing them from the non-recurring capital account?
No, I agree that we should use capital non-recurring. It's a one-time large expense and we don't want it to be in the budget to cause spikes in any one year. So yes, capital non-recurring would be the way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion that we approve the 25-26 Marine Patrol budget summary, budget as presented.
Second.
Yeah.
Second.
For $66,479.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Okay, let's pick up discussion and possible action on the fiscal year 26 operating budget. Thinking back on it, things were kind of confusing on our last meeting, and I invite Jill, if you would, to restate a motion concerning the chief's raise.
Okay, you would like to do that first
Let's do
before
that
getting
first.
into anything else?
I think that's where we left off.
Well, left off in a couple of places, but that's fine.
That's why I think
Okay.
we need some clarity.
All right. I move that the commission freeze Chief Sparrow's salary at his current rate of $177,500 per year, and therefore reducing the fiscal year 25-26 salary entry for Chief Sparrow from $182,825 to $177,500, and reducing the total for police officer salary, the whole total, from $2,545,778 to $2,540,000 and 453. So it's 2540453.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
So that we can have an orderly discussion, I've spent some time preparing a statement that I'd like to read, and then I think that it makes sense to turn it to each commissioner around the table if they would have anything that they would like to say, either opposing the motion, supporting the motion, or questioning the motion. I also plan to give Chief Sparrow an opportunity to comment, and then I would call the question. I also think it may not be necessary, but I think it's appropriate, as one of our members has reminded me, to point out that our bylaws contain a code of conduct, one of which is that each of us conduct ourselves in a fair and impartial manner during all police commission meetings, and I would include with that, let's not interrupt each other. Here are my reasons for supporting this motion. The employment contract between Chief Sparrow and the Old Saybrook Police Commission speaks clearly to this in two separate but related provisions. On page 3, under the heading Performance Evaluations, the contract provides, and I quote, "The Chief of Police shall be evaluated annually by the Old Saybrook Police Commission. The evaluation shall be related to outlined goals and objectives for the previous year and include an opportunity for self-evaluation and evaluation review with the Police Commission and discussion about the evaluation. Both the Chief of Police and the Police Commission must agree on the annual evaluation instrument and process prior to the commencement of the annual evaluation. The evaluation may be used in determining wage increases in concert with this document." At a minimum, this provision obligates the chief and the commission to work together in good faith to come to agreement on an evaluation instrument and process. On page 7 of that employment contract, under the heading Wages and Compensation, the contract provides a series of 6 fixed annual salary amounts through the fiscal year 2014-15. After that, any increases in his salary are completely discretionary, with that discretion to be informed as follows. Quote, "The town may increase the base salary and/or benefits of the chief of police to such extent as the town may determine that it is desirable to do so on the basis of the chief's annual evaluation or to adjust the salary schedule of the department." Plainly, an annual evaluation was agreed to be important to an increase in base salary. It is equally plain that Chief Sparrow has known for at least 3 years that the commission desires to work with him to arrive at an agreed instrument and process for his annual evaluation. In the year 2022, there were at least 6 references to this in our monthly meetings. In the first half of 2023, he was presented with the Commission's proposed instrument and process. In 2024, he had as one of his goals bringing this issue to a conclusion one way or another. In August 2024, he told us he was on track to bring this to a conclusion by the end of the year. In September 2024, he was reminded that time was getting short. In all that time, however, he has done nothing to move the process forward. He has not expressed a single objection to or point of agreement with the Commission's proposed instrument and process, nor has he offered even one suggestion of his own about what such an instrument and process ought to look like. That makes it, in the contract's terms, not possible to increase his salary, quote, "on the basis of the chief's annual evaluation." Therefore, there is no basis on which the commission should exercise its discretion and request an increase in his salary. Contrary to the chief's assertion that this freeze is a, quote, "negotiation," or that it is, quote, "punishment," or, quote, "discipline," this freeze is nothing more than adhering to the terms of the chief's contract with Old Saybrook. Any salary increase after 2015 was discretionary, with the exercise of that discretion to be informed by an annual evaluation, which the chief has prevented by refusing to engage with the commission. The cause of this freeze lies solely on the chief's persistent choice to ignore his contractual responsibility. The chief also argues that in the alternative, he's entitled to get a raise because other non-union employees of Old Saybrook get raises. But not one of those other employees has a contract like the contract between Chief Sparrow and the town, with its express linkage of annual evaluations pursuant to a mutually agreed instrument and process as a basis for any salary increase. The reasons supporting the motion are solidly grounded in the express terms of the employment contract. Chief Sparrow's attempted avoidances are specious. I ask for your support on this vote. Let me go around the table. I'll start with Jessica on the virtual audience. Jessica, do you have anything you would like to offer?
So respectfully, I'm trying to you just read off the contract. I think we're actually all in the same mindset. I really do. But I think the way, like you just read off that contract, just like the way we read off the bylaws in April. And it's like, do we follow exactly word by word or by how somebody views it? And that's so, no, I guess I don't.
Renee?
I'm in full agreement with everything that you just said. I just want to remind you that we are in the middle of a motion and it's been seconded. And when it comes to discussion, the discussion should be the police commission discussing it. I'll leave it to you to decide if the chief comments during our discussion.
Carl?
I tend to agree with the motion. The problem is, I think this is the wrong forum. I think that when you discuss employee and employee contracts and things, it should be in a special session.
Right.
So that's where I stand anyway.
Okay, thank you. Jackie?
I'm in favor of it. I really want to work together with the chief and get the language that is materialized in the contract and come to an agreement that's equitable for everyone, as stated within the terms of the contract.
Mark?
I agree with the motion. I feel we gotta work with the chief on this. But I feel that if we're gonna go into negotiations with him or talk about this, it has to be an executive session.
Oh, I think any such negotiations would be. Right now, all we're doing is drilling with the budget.
I understand that, and I think if we all work together, it's what it's all about, and I support the motion.
Chief?
Nothing to say.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion?
Jill,
Oh,
about
Jill.
Hello.
Well, yes.
I just wanted to comment on something that you said last meeting, which I found somewhat disturbing. And you've said it before, even last meeting, you've said it a couple of times. And you asked us to watch back over some of the meetings and ask yourself if you would feel comfortable negotiating with this group. And I think this statement suggests to me that your intention to even begin the evaluation tool discussion wasn't going to happen. And after all the work we did to develop it, it's particularly disheartening, especially to me, having chaired that committee and put an awful lot of time into it. Especially since, as well, we aligned it to your contract in the language, saying that it was going to be based on prior year's goals, a self-evaluation, and that it was input from the commission with then further discussion. I thought the way it was all worked out, and we never even had gotten a comment from you as to whether or not you thought the document was inept or if it was even somewhat workable. So I just find myself really feeling very badly about this because having to make that motion really disturbed me. But that's where I am.
And just to, respond, Mayor Bear respond.
Sure.
We did have a couple offline conversations about the subcommittee meetings, but the action that you're taking tonight negates the possibility of a raise for the entire next fiscal year. So if you were freezing but not deducting, it would give us an opportunity to negotiate and reinstate. But the action that's on the table tonight is to both freeze and reduce. And so after you approve a budget, there's no opportunity for the police commission to add without going back to the Board of Finance and asking for a special appropriation.
Well,
For $5,000, I'm not sure,
I understand that fully.
I understand that. All right, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
I just also want to just add in that I was cut off for like the first half of what was done, like the whole, like the chub, whatever you spoke on. So I knew there was a motion, but I didn't know what it was. Yeah. So we're
motion is-
voting on what?
Jessica, the motion is to freeze the chief's salary at the current rate of 177,000.
Okay, I know you think this is stupid, but like literally can look back, like I was cut off of the meeting. So, okay, that's
Okay,
fine.
are you abstaining or are you voting?
I'm going to vote
Are you voting in favor of the motion or against it?
yes, in favor.
Thank you. So 6 in favor, 1 abstention. Let's pick up where we left off on the,
It's 35, I think. Might have been 34.
uh,
Employee assistance program.
okay, I thought we were on
I thought we'd gone through
Page
everything
40.
and our question was over the monies, the $17,000, and Bruce had asked that. That needs to be added back into.
Well, I don't know. I think that we can just take a look at page
Let's-
34
let's go back.
and then.
Did we miss
then
something,
move
Carl?
on,
I mean,
yes.
that's where I folded over my page
Yeah,
where
right.
we're done, so I'm just.
34 is, I think, where we left off.
Right. I have no questions on 34 or 35.
I don't even,
Well, I do have a question, actually, in light of everything else that's come out. And this is probably for Leanne. Why do we have 2 employee assistance programs that we're paying for?
Well, one is for the town of Old Saybrook, and that covers all employees. And I actually had asked the chief this question early on several years ago. And so he might want to help me out with this answer. But the other employee assistant program, I think, specializes in issues that are that are specific to police officers.
Okay.
Mark,
I'm all set on AC Bacon.
page 35. Any questions?
No, I'm all set with that.
Can you hear us, Jessica?
I'm trying not to interrupt anybody. So how about this? How about if I have any questions, I'll just like interrupt. Is that okay today? No?
Just what?
Change.
She'll interrupt, yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Sure, sure.
All
Okay,
right, thank you.
page 36.
Page 36, we talked about that $27,000. And my suggestion on that money would be to obviously do the $10,000 in electricity that the chief was recommending we take care of, but also to take the remaining 17,000 and apply it to those other lines that Bruce had suggested were woefully short year after year. And rather than suggesting that we reduce the budget by the overall 17,000, but just take that 17 and split it up between these other areas.
What are the other areas that you're talking
They're
about?
information technology, building and grounds maintenance, and there's one other supplies. Yeah,
Well, because the town has failed to ever come up with any kind of building maintenance plan for all the municipal buildings. Yeah, I think we do need to put money in there because we are like where we're at an emergency situation and then we have to fix stuff, not just the police department, but in general. So yes, I totally agree that money has to be put in that.
I think I would like to see the IT and the communications highlighted also in that.
well, I mean, we could split that 17 between the two accounts.
Chief, this gets back to what we learned as the result of the strategic planning session that you had. There were more than 1 or 2 comments about needing to upgrade some of that equipment. I don't think you would be opposed to that, would you?
Well, like I said, this is the budget that I felt was necessary. It's your budget now. So wherever you wanna do those things, I think we heard from the finance director that their wish at the Board of Selectmen level was to reduce the budget by the $17,000. I don't know if we're just setting ourselves up for a $17,000 reduction of the board of selectmen, but that's totally up to you guys. The only thing I would recommend just for us, because we have to produce new documents, if you just let us know the specific amounts that you're adding, wherever you're adding them, just so we can change the figures.
So we're gonna keep the 10,000 to Eversource.
Right. The
And
electricity.
then
have
allocate
17,000.
the remaining to,
Well, I would do 7,000 to the information technology and then put 10,000 into buildings and grounds.
Yeah. So sorry, I'm interrupting. So communications, what I'm viewing, how I view communications is not, it's cell phone use. So Jackie, how are you deciphering communications? Like, what is that to you?
I would like to see some money there in the event that they need additional cell phones or,
Okay,
if they need
okay.
upgrades. I'm not really sure, but I definitely want to see, more on the IT side.
Well,
I would like to see more out,
Well,
I'd like to reverse
if
of
we
what
allocate-
Jill suggested.
If we allocate it as suggested, excuse me, just a sec, Jessica. If we allocated 7,000 to IT and 10,000 to building, are you comfortable
I
with
would like it flipped.
I got a question because cell phones doesn't fall under information technology.
Right.
So if we're gonna put money in information technology, communications or the workload, I think we gotta figure which one we want, because the information technology to me would be is where
Yeah.
getting new computers, upgrading
Yeah.
the computer. I don't think the cell phones fall
Right.
into that.
I feel like the common thread within that strategic planning, that was, as Chubb mentioned, a repeat on many occasions. And I think that that's where most of that money should be allocated.
Into the information technology, absolutely. I think they need to get it so their equipment is,
Not slow.
Top-notch.
That was like the
Yeah,
common
that's life and
response.
death.
Yeah.
No,
we
no,
flip that? Can we flip that?
agree. I agree with everything everybody's saying. I'm just saying that Jackie mentioned communications, and in the budget, communications is, if you read it, it's about the phone lines and cell devices. So,
Right.
Okay.
He
Yeah,
said information
Jackie's-
technology.
So what we're talking about, just to be clear,
sorry.
is putting
Okay.
10,000 to information technology and 7,000 to the building. Is that?
That would be
Yeah.
fine.
That's
I'm gonna split hairs over $3,000.
I mean, software is expensive.
All right, I entertain a motion to that effect with respect to the 27,000, 10,000 to Eversource, 10,000 to building, and what's the
Ten
line?
thousand to,
I'm sorry, 10,000 to IT.
right, and seven to
7,000
building
to building.
ground.
So moved.
Is- Any further discussion?
I think the town should put $17,000 of everything.
Yes, and where's the IT budget?
That's all.
We're just
We're saying
responding.
that we need
Yeah.
to increase the line item because it tends to go over that. So
Oh, okay,
just a
okay.
matter of trying to plan for that.
But we seem to have a surplus in the budget every year, so why?
That's because we lose help and then we pay at a lesser rate.
well, to me, if you do the math, that's a little more than 17,000. That's 27,000.
Yes,
We
because
got to
the
work
10 is
with.
for Eversource.
Right,
Right.
so
Well,
10,000,
Yeah.
10,000.
Yeah.
Just wanted to
I
make
have no
sure I was
problem
seeing
with
it
that. I
right.
have-
yeah, you are.
I think the 17 though
Okay.
is where my issue is.
Well, would you like us to break it down on the motion?
You just did.
No,
Well, what would you like to see then?
I would like to see 10,000 go to Eversource, and I'd like to see the 17,000 go back to the town.
Although we're gonna have to spend it here and it may be saved somewhere else and go back to the town. So,
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it seems properly budgeted to me, so.
Okay. if there's no further discussion, all in favor of the motion,
Look,
which
can I
is,
say one more thing, please?
Yeah.
Carl, did you read the email that Bruce sent to us about this issue?
I have to be honest with you, I did not.
Okay, he was talking about that in his email, about how it affects us every year in these light items.
I
that's what you picked.
have asked that the emails go to my personal email address because I'm having problems with the town one. but
Yes, I did send it to you the other
Today?
day. No, the other day.
I've checked every single day. I check
I
my
sent
email
it-
3 times a day. I
I
did not
sent
get
it
it.
after the meeting the other night.
Okay, well, I haven't gotten it yet.
So that,
If there are no further questions, let's vote on this motion. All in favor?
I
And are
I'll
you?
abstain
You're
because I don't have enough information.
Yeah, no, me too. On that,
Okay.
yeah.
So 5 in favor, 2 abstentions.
Yes.
Let's see. I think that takes us to the end of the budget.
Yeah.
Am I missing anything?
No, I don't think you are.
Wait, did we do Marine?
Yes, we did that first.
Okay. Well, then why do we have a special meeting tomorrow and it says Marine? Did I get the wrong? Is that
That was
not?
in case we didn't get this settled this evening.
But okay, so for the 15th, that's okay. Okay, got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay.
Okay. Uh,
Do you want a motion to approve the budget?
yeah, I invite a motion to approve the budget as adjusted this evening.
Okay. I move to approve a police commission operating budget in the amount of $5,677,691 for the fiscal year 25-26. It's a 1.73% increase over last year. This amount reflects the elimination of the salary increase in Chief Sparrow's line item by $5,325. I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, sorry.
Okay. All right, unanimous. Comments from the public. I turn to the live audience.
Oh, hi,
Please identify yourself,
sure.
and if you would step close to the microphone, although you project
Okay.
very well.
Project well, yeah, I've been told sometimes I'm a little too loud. Hi, everyone.
We have a 3-minute limit and the subject is limited to the budget.
Okay, perfect, because that's exactly what I was going towards. But I'm going to weave in some topics that are relative to Old Saybrook, actually. So my name is Ashley Farn. I am CEO of a grassroots anti-trafficking nonprofit organization called We Are One. I was recently in 2023 a recipient of a short publishing Beacon Award for my advocacy for sex trafficking victims actually in your community. Those sex trafficking victims identified their traffickers within Old Saybrook, actually, in a private community in your beach. So that is why I'm here today, to build awareness that you do have predators within your community. I am currently a 2025 nominee, Department of Justice nominee, Survivor Voices, and I'm here today to say that I disagree with freezing Chief Sparrow's salary. I think when you bombard a chief with paperwork, I think he's unable to do his job, and I think he's unable to catch human traffickers, specifically human traffickers that killed a few of my family members.
do you live in Old Saybrook?
I don't, but my
That
great,
doesn't matter.
yeah, that doesn't, I serve the community of Old Saybrook, and I also serve a lot of community members here. I'm consistently on the shoreline. I travel the state. I don't pay myself for my work.
Are we at 3 minutes?
But with regards to the budget, I'm not sure what your name is, but I was very offended when you laughed and said we don't want to split hairs over $3,000. I grew up in a trailer park in Brantford, and I was sex trafficked by my family. To say that you don't want to split hairs over $3,000, you know what $3,000 bought me when I was a kid?
Chubb. And
That's offensive. And I was also offensive. I was also offended by the way that Jessica was spoken to, not just in this meeting, but in the last, because it's been very demeaning. And I've also been offended by the way you treated Chief Sparrow, and you have blackmailed him and created a debt bondage, almost borderline labor trafficking. And I'm Ashley Fawn, and I will continue to use my survivor voice to build awareness and get justice for victims of human trafficking.
Thank you, Ms. Font. Anyone else in the live audience? Anyone in the virtual audience wishing to comment, please raise your hand.
No hands are raised.
All right. Comments from the chief of police.
I congratulate you on getting a budget. Thank you very much. We will go to work and produce those normal booklets that go out to the distribution list that we highlighted during my presentation.
Thank you. Comments from commissioners. I'll start with Jessica so that we don't have to interrupt. Jessica, do you have any comment at this
Nothing.
point?
I'm good. Thank you.
Around the table?
You just start.
I only would say I'm very sorry that after 2.5 years or so, it had to come to this. But that's just reluctant, regret on my part. I invite a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I
I
have a
have-
comment.
Renee
Oh,
had a comment.
I thought I was looking around to see if there were comments.
So I have a question, and I know I'm probably gonna get shut down and I'm gonna still talk. As far as we go with comments, we just entertained that comment, so I have a question. Carl Fortuna, at the end of that presentation, said that we should make comments from the public in emails, any messages. I have the transcript here. Is that gonna be the process just going forward, so people know if they email us, that can be read into the minutes or put into the minutes? Does anybody
Well,
know that? Because Carl pretty much
let's-
said that's what we'll do.
Why don't we have an agenda item at our next regular meeting on whether there is a desire that we do that?
Okay, but my concern is that going forward, if there's people that did want to remain anonymous, Carl basically has stated that they'll be read in public or added to the minutes. I can make this and send it to everybody.
Okay, let's put that on the agenda for a regular meeting.
It'll have
But
to
that
be
regular
before,
meeting is,
it'll have to be before the correspondence comes up then.
And
Oh.
Renee, I hear you. I'm interrupting. I hear you and I agree with what you're saying. Or asking.
What I'm suggesting is that we don't have this discussion on our agenda tonight.
Correct.
We will agenda it so it can be discussed and acted upon at our next meeting. If a majority of the commissioners believe that it is appropriate to read into the record every piece of correspondence that we get, we can consider that. You know,
so
we can.
today is
we can-
January 13th, and the next regular meeting will be January 27th. So that's 2 weeks of getting more and more and more emails.
Yep.
I just want people to be aware that when you do email us, there is a possibility that this is going to be made public. So if you decide you want to reach out to us anonymously, please do so.
Well, people do that now.
Right, but people might also be under an impression that it's staying with us.
Yeah.
Is
And I am
that
very happy
comment
that you're
only?
gonna start attending meetings because I've attended meetings forever and people should get involved. And you can't be here for like a hot minute and think that you have a picture of everything. I spent years doing this, Board of Finance, zoning meetings, WPCA, everything that I could possibly get into, and it's good to get involved.
I'm not shutting you down, but
No, shut me down, I'm good.
No, I do think we ought to have comments limited to the subject of tonight's meeting. not-
I received your email. That's my comment.
Okay,
I'm sorry. I
okay.
didn't read it, but it
Thank
it
you.
went to a different file and I just pulled it up and
Thank
made it.
you. I
show.
appreciate that.
So I appreciate it. Well, it just spare here. It won't anymore because you are now a recognized.
Okay, great.
Jackie?
I'm glad that we were able to pass the budget. I do hope in the future that we'll be able to be a bit more successful in our agreements.
Mark?
I'm all set, thank you.
Jill?
I just look forward to a better time going forward. Hoping that we can accomplish that.
Thank you.
Carl, you have anything?
I'm done. I expressed my opinion.
Thank you.
Just a reminder, we have a meeting Wednesday.
Yeah, we do have a meeting, special meeting on Wednesday at 6:30. I think we'll be in the second floor conference room.
Second floor, correct.
And the subject is the beginning of discussion and action concerning the perf report.
And we don't need tomorrow night's meeting.
And we don't need tomorrow night's meeting.
So we'll go ahead and publicly cancel.
Yes.
For lack of business. I invite a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.